not different to make protest music or music about a cause when it's safe to do so, you know? When, like, it's like me making a song about slavery bad, right? Like, you wouldn't call me brave for doing that. Yeah, no shit, Lance. Right? Slavery's the worst. You shouldn't own a plantation. Shame on you. John Brown was right. You'd be like, yeah, is this a cause right now, Lance? What if you made a song about how modern day prison systems are slavery? Oh, no, 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 I don't want to touch that. No, no, I don't. But I do want to release this on a big label. Can we get some big labels on this one? Yeah, let's talk about that. So that's kind of why it was, you know, pretty hilarious that you know, they did this bit. That's very different than this new song. Yesterday, apparently Kendrick Lamar has removed the copyright on any of the 3 Drake diss tracks, giving people the ability to play them live on stream without getting hurt, without getting DMCA'd. We can do whatever we want now. The world is free.
Neutralized. I can only watch in silence. The famous actor we once knew is looking paranoid and now spiraling. You're moving just like a degenerate. Every antic is feeling distasteful. I calculate you're not as calculated. I can even predict your angle. Fabricating stories on the family front, cause you heard Mr. Morale. A pathetic master manipulator. I can smell the tails on you now. You're not a rap artist, you're a scam artist with the hopes of being accepted. Tommy Hilfiger stood out, but FUBU never had been your collection. I make music that electrify 'em. You make music that pacify 'em. I can double down on that line, but spare you this time. That's random acts of kindness. Know you're a master manipulator and habitual liar too. But don't tell no lie about me, and I won't tell truths about you.
Like the first 55 seconds of the song, it's so pleasant. It just sounds so nice. It doesn't sound at all cruel or mean or malicious, and it's just so fucking brutal at the same time. But you're just like, that's nice. Oh yeah, no, this is just like a nice hot shower kind of a feeling, you know? Just a warm sunny day. I love it. Shoo! How do you care about rap beef while insert tragedy is happening? Well, I'm going to combine the 2 stories. I'm going to utilize the hatred of Drake, which I think is warranted, good, and also amazing. The incredible artistry of Kendrick Lamar, which is just, again, he's one of the greatest living poets of all time. No, one of the greatest poets, period, of all time. I was speaking yesterday about a lot of the reasons why I love Kendrick Lamar. We went through a little bit of the history of Kendrick Lamar and some of his early work, from being, you know, K-Dot and all that kind of stuff, and eventually becoming the superstar that he is today, and the differences between conscious hip-hop and pop, you know, that you know, Drake clearly produces. You can watch much better people than me discuss a lot of these issues, again, from you know, within the Black community specifically. If you want to watch Illuminati and her incredible video, we watched some of that. But I did want to quickly say one thing about this, as I'm speaking relatively a little too quick here, but there's a lot of different factors that go in personally for me in why I've loved and respected certain hip hop artists through the day. And it's not simply just like the lyrics that they're capable of writing, or the, you know, the poetry they're capable of weaving. The flow is really, really important, of course, as well. But then most people don't consider things like voice and sound, and that specifically how that can affect someone. Like when you listen to one of like the 4 goats of the apocalypse, probably like Nas, Jay-Z, Pac, Biggie, right? The people who are just universally revered, the 4 you know, best and biggest names in hip-hop history. There's something uniquely different about each one of their voices. And when it comes to Pac, it's really deep and guttural. You don't think about it maybe when you're listening to it, right? But like, all eyes on me, that sound, it's inspiring. It gets you amped. It gets you like, fucking hell yeah. You feel this kind of like, oh, I am jacked up now. This is energizing me. And that's why a lot of it, when it is really politically charged, like a lot of Pac's like music could be, it inspires you even if you happen to be from other groups, other communities, which is why eventually it started crossing over and a whole bunch of white people started listening to it, especially younger white people who may wanted to rebel against their parents because the only oppression that they really know at that period in time is like, oh, the bedtime is oppression. But anyways, you start to resonate with that very strong kind of like very powerful feeling that you get. And a lot of different artists are different for different reasons. Kendrick, again, and this is all power to like, you know, a short king, because in that BET cipher, you see him with all those other artists, and they're all, you know, they're all doing incredible work. Schoolboy Q, I think, opens this up. He's awesome. He's got incredible flow. But Kendrick just from like the get-go, you can tell he wants to make a statement. He wants to have there be no discussion or whatsoever about him being the best person in that cipher. Like, it's undisputable. Like, when you leave it, you're just going to see this person who is, by just like, you know, his own height, smaller than the other people there, but much larger, just a much larger personality in person, an inspirational person. That's not coming from someone who has kind of that deep sounding voice like Pac had, even though the two of them are compared. And I'm trying to explain why he's compared to Pac to this day, is because even though his voice at times can sound a little bit like, sometimes like, you know, nasally almost, I'd say closer to nerdy, right? With some of the songs, he switches between the way that he speaks and pronounces things. And that is done with intent. That's why I think he does things to another level, because when he's doing that, when he's switching the way that he's both singing, pronouncing, and even putting on sometimes it sounds like accents, that's done with intent in addition to the words. Like, and that is such a cool concept, that you're not only going to speak differently at different points in the song. Sometimes it is really deep and guttural. Sometimes it's really high and up there, and it flows between that to singing, you know, to a flow like that. That's someone weaving so many different elements into the structure of the music itself, and that adds complexity to it. And that's why, again, I try to tell people it's Shakespearean, because there's so much to this. There's so much layers to what he's doing at that moment in time. And I think a lot of people for the first time were learning that through stuff like Euphoria. I'm going to be juxtaposing Kendrick Lamar with what a fucking absolute clown Macklemore was, just as an artist and as a person coming inside of a scene and a movement, one that is obviously is black art and involves a lot of black culture, and he himself was involving himself in a lot of black culture, and how he kind of stumbled through that, and then eventually did the same shit with the issue of LGBTQ plus rights as well, making what to this day I think is one of the best Lonely Island parodies ever, where they basically called out how it's like, he made a song about how it's okay to be gay, bro, but no homo, you know? Like, I just want to say, like, totally cool if you're gay. I'm not, and I'm dope, but you're cool too. No homo, not gay, but also, you know, gay's okay. So okay to be gay, but I'm not that. All right, just want to let you know, I'm not that thing that you are. But like, I'm normal. But no, but you're cool. You're also cool. All right. The single, turn that into like, that was honestly, that was the Obama era Macklemore. Okay, he's now gone from that to we need to start a global intifada. You do love to see it. Macklemore is a much better example of someone who you've seen just go through a lot of growth as a human being. Used to not completely understand why what he was doing and why the fucked up cringy shit that happened in his career kind of happened. It was the stuff that, like, you know, your white aunt would put on and be like, hey, this is that hip hop you kids are into, right? And being like, so there's a lot of things going on here. He's like, he's combining, and I guess it's Ryan who's doing this more than him, but he's combining like a lot of elements of there's funk and there's jazz and there's stuff, but these are a lot of different cultural elements that he is kind of appropriating, and at this point it kind of doesn't seem like he's doing so in a way that's actually trying to uplift the rest of that culture or community, more kind of just like he's kind of like being a tourist in it, and he kind of, you know, that whole vibe that went off. Anyway, sorry, before we get into Macklemore, let's play just a little bit more, because apparently the fact that I'm allowed to play Kendrick is pretty exciting. I hope that's true, by the way. I hope I'm not just roasting my stream right now.
Aye, monster on the beat, ho, Debo, any rap nigga, he a free throw, man down, call her Amber Lambs, tell him breathe, bro, nail a nigga to the cross, he walk around like Tizo. What's up with these jabroni ass niggas trying to see Compton? The industry can hate me, fuck them all and they mama. How many options you really got? I mean, it's too many options. I'm finna pass on this body, I'm John Stockton. Beat your ass and hide the Bible if God watching. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas. Certified boogeyman, I'm the one that up to score with him. Walk him down whole time, I know he got some hoe in him. Pole on him, extort shit, bully the flow on him. Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. To any bitch that talk to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from him. They tell me Chubb's the only one that get your hand-me-downs and party at the party playing with his nose now.
Like, I've seen footage now of people at like sports games rocking out to this shit. Like, I've seen people at gatherings just like blasting this. I mean, I think a lot of it is happening in LA and a lot of it is happening in that area too. But I'm just like, wow, so this is not just a banger track, but the lyrics. This is a group of people celebrating and dancing because the beat is so cold-blooded to the call out of Drake being a pedophile. Oh my.
And Motherfucker got a weird case. Why is he around? Certified lover boy, certified pedophiles.
Like that part, I've seen video footage of like the DJ cutting out all of a sudden it's like certified pedophile. Like the whole room erupts and you're like, oh my god, oh my word.
That fuck 'em up. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired?
I should also add, by the way, at this point now, the internet has effectively been doing so much uncovering of the like amount of shit that like. I don't say there's a smoking gun that I've seen, but there's a lot of receipts that are being posted publicly about how fucking fucked up and what a creep Drake has been for so long. And yet another one of those sad ass situations where no one listened. Like no one really listened. Like no one actually was like, I'm not going to work with Drake. I'm not going to cancel Drake. I'm not going to like not, you know, I'm not going to drop Drake as a label owner or as a fucking sponsor or stake.com, the gambling fucking cryptocurrency website that Drake is one of the biggest, if not the biggest fucking sponsor of. Is there a bigger name than Drake on Stake? I think he's the biggest Stake fucking celebrity, like front-facing celebrity that like fully streams on Kick to try and get kids into cryptocurrency gambling. Like XQC train wrecks levels of fucking shitty ass shit, you know? It sucks.
Strike a chord, so and it's probably A minor.
And again, I'm sorry, old news for everyone who already has listened to the song 500 times, I know. But again, it's just like, it's wild. Like Kendrick has just removed the ability for you to sing in an entire musical chord at that moment in time, lest the people listening to the song will suddenly be reminded of, oh yeah, fuck, that shit. That's fucked up. That's really fucked up. The fact that it's inspiring Kendrick to make new music is, I think, more people now are experiencing some of Kendrick's discography and going back and trying to listen to some of his other stuff. Hopefully, To Pimp a Butterfly, damn, you know, you're going to learn a lot of lessons in the process, get a lot of education, and that's one of the beautiful things of conscious hip hop is that it can teach you a lot of things, especially if you don't happen to have that lived experience. That's why it's such a great device for both not only conveying emotion but also for storytelling, because yeah, if you didn't have any of these lived experiences, you know, you can certainly stand to sit through and enjoy not only beautiful music but also maybe learn some history and stuff like that. But anyways, that brings us to clown ass Macklemore, which I gotta get these out of my system because he is completely redeemed himself in every way. And no, I can't play cannot put sound on. I don't know if I can even play the Macklemore clips right now. Don't know Macklemore. All right, so Macklemore is a white hip hop artist who comes onto the scene and just explodes with these two massive singles back to back. Everyone thought that his first single was pretty much just, once again, you know, there's always that kind of thin line between, is this a white person appropriating black music and culture, or is this someone who has basically lived their entire lives within black communities or in close proximity to black communities and was raised, say, like someone who grows up in Detroit and is inside the hip hop scene and wants to support the hip hop scene and wants to help and uplift it. You want a really good example of that. You probably are all thinking that I'm talking about Eminem. I'm not. I'm thinking of LP. LP, really great, does a great job out in New York trying to uplift and keep helping foster elements of hip hop culture and stuff like that, even though he knows that he himself, you know, being a white person within that community, is not, you know, it's not the same thing as having the same lived experience. Of course, but he's someone who also wants to help promote and make sure that, you know, up and coming young artists and black artists especially are promoted and given a voice and that kind of stuff. So he's awesome. Go check him out. Check out Run the Jewels, all that kind of stuff. But Macklemore is just not someone I ever really thought a lot about because his singles were so huge on the radio. He was just like so famous and so prominent that it just felt like a pop star to me. It didn't. I never felt like, hey, like maybe I don't know enough about his history. Maybe someone else knows more about how he came up in the game or anything like that. But for me, it just felt like a pop star who came out of nowhere and had really catchy songs, right? And don't get me wrong, his songs were very catchy. They, again, are very well produced. Ryan Lewis is a very good producer who is clearly mixing so many influences of black music together, whether that be jazz, funk, and orchestral elements into it as well, to make really, really well-produced big sounds. And then his particular flow, Macklemore, I would say really lends itself to that idea of having a very large festival-sounding or street party sounding style song where everyone, when it comes on, can hear it and be like, oh yeah, this is kind of like, you know, one of those party songs. But some people were wondering why he was viewed as cringe. And it's kind of like when he's first coming up, and it's, again, him and Ryan Lewis together producing all these songs, part of you is probably wondering, like, what what is the point of Macklemore? Or what is Macklemore? Why is Macklemore closer to the problem?
Hold Us, which spent 5 weeks at the #1 spot. This track was definitely more of a standard pop track, but 2 Billboard #1s in his first year as a mainstream artist stamped that he was a force to be reckoned with. However, it was all about to come crashing down, as Macklemore would suffer from success. At the 2014 annual Grammy Awards, Macklemore was nominated in 7 categories, the biggest and most prestigious being Best Rap Album and Best Rap Song. After winning Best Rap Performance and Best New Artist, people were happy to see him win 2 Grammys. Nominated for Best Rap Song up against...
Now, if you're a hip-hop fan like myself and you look at this list, like, immediately you're gonna be like, wait, what? Are you serious? Bit out ASAP Rocky featuring, yes, Drake, 2 Chainz and Kendrick Lamar. Fucking problems? What?
Drake, Kanye West, Jay-Z. It seemed unlikely Macklemore would win, but Thrift Shop was in fact the winner of Best Rap Song of 2014, securing him his 3rd Grammy of the night. But what would come next would shock the world. Up against Drake's Nothing Was the Same, Jay-Z's Magna Carta, Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid Mad City, and Kanye West's Yeezus, Macklemore had absolutely no chance of winning. Everyone was betting on Kendrick since he without a doubt had the best album of the bunch, but wouldn't be entirely surprised if it went to the other nominees. The hip-hop...
This was actually the moment in history that got me into Kendrick Lamar, because it was this that made me look up Kendrick Lamar's like a discography, and then I was like, oh shit, yeah.
Hip-hop community was floored when Macklemore and Ryan Lewis's The Heist won Best Rap Album of the Year.
So late.
The Heist
So late to the game
for this absolute...
It was one of those things too, because I'd heard for so long that, like, you know, this was like the savior of hip hop too, right? Like, you hear so many different cycles go through, like, hip hop is dead. And what is, I think, in my opinion, essentially happening is there is kind of a passing of the torch, right? And you've heard other really big names say that, where, you know, like Jay-Z will see someone else in their sights and be like, yeah, I know you're coming for me because you're going to try and take the crown from me. And then it's passed off, because that's just how music works. Because eventually there's going to be a younger up and coming artist who takes over from the artist previous to them, kind of thing, right? But honestly, there are periods where the entire problem with hip hop, and Macklemore is emblematic of this, is that it's taken away, and you'll always hear this debate amongst like hip hop artists, historians and stuff like that. There's this element that's taken away from it being protest music, that is storytelling music, that is music that's telling you about the history of systemic racism and the black experience in America, and giving a perspective that is often not heard and a voice to the voiceless. And in that, if it's going to be appropriated by other groups, which it has been, right? There's internationally, hip hop is done in like every single fucking language. You can hear Romanian hip hop artists, right? You can hear Spanish hip hop artists. You can hear indigenous hip hop artists who do songs in indigenous languages that are nearly dead, but they're doing songs, and they're doing hip hop, and they're doing flows where they're mixing together all these like amazing elements, and it's like, it's super cool. But part of that should also be, you should be paying tribute to the very purpose of the music itself. And if it's just to sell records and get laid, if that's it, if it's just like you're just doing it to make some money, and just hyping up the very idea of like, yeah, I'm the best, I got the best cars, I got the Bugattis. I mean, you're just becoming like an Andrew Tate at that point, right? And that's what Macklemore at this point feels like, kind of. There's not really like a lot of purpose to his work.
Robbery. Macklemore was being cooked by the hip hop community online, reminding him in every comment section that he didn't deserve to win. He felt so much pressure that he decided to text Kendrick.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. This is not Macklemore's fault. I want to be clear. You do not have any power or sway or say in this, right? Like, for him, I just thought of him as a doofus. I thought of him as this little doofus white guy who's fucking, I'm the best hip hop artist. Like, I don't even think he was malicious. I think he was trying to do the right things, and you can see the start of the growth here. Okay, you can see. I think at this point, Macklemore has one song at this point called "White Privilege." He eventually has 3. There's "White Privilege 1," "White Privilege 2," "White Privilege 3," where the guy is clearly doing some personal exploration, some growth, and he does have decent flow. Like, the guy isn't untalented. There's no question. Like, his solo stuff is not nearly as good as when he's working with Ryan Lewis, because Ryan Lewis is clearly like a much better, team member for him. But whatever the case may be, right? I'm not here to say that Macklemore has no talent whatsoever. He just was never my scene or my thing. And then when this moment happens, obviously it's this big kind of like, what the fuck? And then, so he texts Kendrick to tell him, you got robbed, I wanted you to win, blah, blah, blah. But then he posts this text on Instagram, which is kind of extra cringe, because like, I mean, if you really wanted to do, I'd make a statement. You maybe could have just refused the award or given it up or handed it over and been like, this isn't just appropriate, you know. But it was fine being nominated in the same category because that was an honor. But like this at this point is kind of silly.
Lamar and apologize. You got robbed. I wanted you to win. You should have. It's weird and sucks that I robbed you. I was gonna say that during the speech, then the music started playing during my speech and I froze. Anyway, you know what it is. Congrats on this year and your music. Appreciate you as an artist and as a friend. Much love. We wouldn't have ever seen this text if Macklemore didn't post it to social media, which made it even worse and looked like he was just trying to get in the good graces with the public.
Did you ever feel any way about him posting the text message or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it was uncalled for, to be 100 with you. When he sent it to me, I was like, okay, you know, I could see him feeling that type of way because he a good dude. But I think for confirmation from the world, you know, he probably felt like he had to put it out there, which he didn't need to do. He didn't need to do, but they don't take nothing away from him anyway because I know where his heart is at, he cool.
Despite Kendrick being cordial and saying that Macklemore meant well, hip-hop fans could never truly accept Macklemore as a part of the culture. They thought he was disingenuous, and they didn't really like his music in the first place, so this was an easy excuse to forget about him. He stepped out of the limelight, and many people suggest his music was never as ambitious ever again. He felt guilt, and that guilt ate him alive. His 2016 album, This Unruly Mess I Made, sold just 61,000 copies in the
I have no idea about this album.
first week. Him and Ryan Lewis split up shortly after, and Mac released another solo album, Gemini, that did decent amongst his fan base, but ultimately, he hasn't had any major mainstream success in almost a decade. But unlike
So it's not like one hit wonder and that he only had one track that came out that really like crushed, but it was more like one album wonder where like, yeah, that one album had a whole bunch of fucking huge ass tracks that were very, very popular. But then after that, he hasn't been able to have any kind of commercial success.
Macklemore, DaBaby refused to apologize to anyone, which is leading to one of the
So let's just go on to the other parts of the story. But anyways, I want to fast forward because Macklemore, yeah, all right. So he's cringe, or he was cringe, I should say, past tense. He's cringe. He's also kind of racist. There's some moments that come out and some photos that come out that I'm not going to deny are very disgusting anti-Semitic stereotypes. He's dressing around in like, you know, some costume where he's trying to look like, you know, a Jewish person and stuff like that. He is then told that's shitty. He then starts to do all this kind of like, you know, he does apologies. He's doing personal growth. Like I said, he writes these songs about white privilege, talking about how, you know, you can clearly tell the guy's trying to learn rapidly because he was like immediately thrust into the spotlight of, hey, you're like the most famous person in this category this year, and it's like, wait, what the fuck? And everyone's like, what the fuck? I didn't know this until he started giving those speeches, but he was doing a whole bunch of research into Palestine and into the cause of Palestinian liberation and to the idea of colonial oppression, apartheid, ethnic cleansing. And he was learning a lot, and he was starting to actually use his voice for something. He was using, and again, it's you could say a descending voice, not as huge as he used to be. Definitely, certainly not like, you know, a top pop star on the scene for releasing songs or music. But he was starting to go to speeches, and he was starting to go to rallies, and he was starting to attend events, and he was starting to speak with, you know, members of the Jewish community from Jewish Voices for Peace, and filming segments with them, and attending rallies with them, and talking to them, and he's really starting to learn a lot. Fast forward to yesterday, and it's just so funny that all of this happened at once because in the midst of what I guess now everyone's saying that like the smoke is cleared on the whole you know, Kendrick Drake thing, mostly because Drake did what I can only describe as the equivalent of grabbing you know, a gun and shooting yourself in the dick 50 times instead of actually dropping a diss track. You know, like I have no idea why the fuck he released that song or wrote it or had a team or had a ghostwriter write it. Even that'd be even funnier. But even have a team of people where you could sit down and look around the room and feel like, so is this a good idea? Should I actually like rap about how like I won't be possibly seen as a pedophile because I'm too famous? Maybe I'll be like I'm too rich and too famous to be a pedophile or something like that. But yeah, that'll be a good clip. ChatGPT wrote it. Like he addresses the whole A minor stuff and he tries to be like clever and then be like, yeah, you know, how about B major and all this other kind of stuff. And I was like, you're not even using the right chords though right now if you wanted to do the band. Did you have that same standard applied? I feel like this shit gets brought up specifically in relation to it being two superstars. Yes, two massive superstars, but two black superstars as well, right? Why is it now that we're being asked like, hey, by the way, you have to make a choice, all right? You have to, no, you can do both. You can enjoy it. You can also be very, very excited and happy that, again, one of the greatest living poets, or the, arguably kind of shit, is making new music. And yes, calling attention to a dude who may have had a lifetime career of being a predator. And maybe people will finally take that seriously. Maybe people will finally listen to, women who spoke out about it, or people in the industry who spoke out about it before. And now it actually took, Kendrick Lamar to bring it to that place. You can do two things at once. And in that, this song drops, Hind's Hall, and it's actually really, really fucking good. You've probably already heard it multiple times by this point. You're probably already well, acquainted with it. But it's very inspiring to see someone who has come so far from being an absolute fucking clown in the industry to actually making an anthem for the moment. One, and so that Rage Against the Machine said, Tom Morello today, this is the closest to a Rage Against the Machine song since Rage Against the Machine was producing music. It is a fucking banger. It's angry. It's loud, and it's fucking fantastic. It's a great ass song. And I was thinking that the other day, that like, not so much that I want there to have to be, people who pay attention over one issue or over another, more so that like, it'd be nice if all musicians and all artists in all like walks of life, instead of just putting pins on their shirts, secret little pins that people can look at and be like, what is that? This is artists for Palestine. We're the artists for Palestine. Yeah, so we don't want the Palestinians to die. So we're the artists. We care. I got a little pin. I got the pin for the artists for Palestine. You should be using your platform as super famous rich celebrities not to go to the Met Gala, to fucking not to go to any of these events, to ban all of these events unless you're going to go there to make fucking noise and disrupt them until you're kicked out of them. I think you should be using your platform and your skills to bring attention to this moment in time. And yes, use it to bring attention to all conflicts if you want to, but certainly you have a responsibility to eventually speak on it. I'm not talking about the artists I've been speaking about previous to this. I'm talking about fucking all the celebrities that you see at the Met Gala who don't give two fucks about any of this. You never see them talk about it, or they think they've done their job by doing one fucking, hashtag, Palestinians aren't subhuman, 3 years ago or something like that. You see very, very little of that. So that's why I think it is an incredible thing that Macklemore came that far. And he came that far after being known for this. Being known for...
Got a hot new single coming, and it addresses some social issues that I think are being ignored. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We're going to be surprise releasing it next Thursday at noon, and that's it.
He's writing this song for gay marriage. Like it's not allowed. It's allowed
Clean
now.
up your room.
Forgot about fucking Ringo coming at the very end. It's true, wasn't it? Macklemore's song came out around. It's kind of like, it's just like, okay. That's a really good point to end on there before we play the new track, because it's a lot different to make protest music or music about a cause when it's safe to do so, when like, it's like me making a song about slavery bad, right? Like, you wouldn't call me brave for doing that. Yeah, no shit, Lance. Right? Slavery's the worst. You shouldn't own a plantation. Shame on you. John Brown was right. You'd be like, yeah, is this a cause right now, Lance? What if you made a song about how modern day prison systems are slavery? Oh, no. No. I don't want to touch that. No, I don't. But I do want to release this on a big label. Can we get some big labels on this one? Yeah, let's talk about that. So that's kind of why it was, pretty hilarious that they did this bit. That's very different than this new song. This is a song for the fucking moment, because it's coming out at a time right now, yes, when there are cops literally attacking students. As I say this, as I'm recording this, or maybe even as you're watching this, Cops are entering into campuses to crack student skulls. There needs to be a song in solidarity for those brave kids who are in solidarity also with Palestinians, and also to speak out. Like, that's one of the things about this track. I think it caught a lot of people off guard. I think like I saw a lot of people online were like, I had no idea what Macklemore was cooking with. But okay, because that's what this music is supposed to be used for. Again, it is supposed to not only tell stories, but give voices to the voiceless, and it is protest music and fucking the energy of the song, angry. And again, it sounds like it's produced by DJ Shouter or something. It does that really good thing where it blends like really heavy drums with like orchestral music in the background and just the right amount of maybe some, I don't know if it is Palestinian or Middle Eastern instruments and sounds that are used, but used not just like overbearingly as if you're just trying to appropriate another culture. Like again, it is well done. It is a technically well done song, but more importantly, a very, very important song for the moment. And so we can officially, before we start this, change the title here. Macklemore's new track is awesome. Never thought I'd be saying that, but Macklemore's new song is a fucking banger.
Yeah, the people they won't leave. What is threatening about divesting and want a piece? The problem isn't the protest, it's what they're protesting. It goes against what our country is funding. Block the barricade until Palestine is free. Block the barricade until Palestine is free. When I was 7, I learned a lesson from Cuban Eazy-E. What was it again? Oh yeah, fuck the police. Actors and badges protecting property in a system that was designed by white supremacy. But the people are in the streets. You could pay off Meta, you can't pay off me. Politicians who serve by any means. APAC, Kofi.
See what I mean by the whole DJ Shadow thing? Like just right there where the horns come in like that, I'm like, oh shit, yes. And again, that's really good because when you have a track like that, that's when you have to start making the lyrics even more powerful and more angry.
Politicians who serve by any means. APAC, Kofi, and all the companies. You see, we sell fear around the land of the free. But this generation here is about to cut the strings. You could ban TikTok, take us out the algorithm, but it's too late. We've seen the truth, we bear witness. Seen the rubble, the buildings, the mothers, and the children.
Howdy everybody. I just wanted to let you know that for the cost of a cup of coffee, you can unlock bonus uncensored episodes of Mind Explosions by going to patreon.com/theserfs. Our videos couldn't exist without your support, and all our content is released early to our Patreon subscribers, as well as a ton of extra content you can't get anywhere else. Please like, subscribe, and thumbs up this channel, and if you're feeling extra perky, share it anywhere you think people would like to see or learn from our videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We first want to give a shout out to everyone who makes this show possible. This program is produced thanks to the generous support of our Patreon supporters: Anna Loves Riley, Ariane McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbar Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Bomey, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demmel, Travis McClinton, and Words Greenwood, as well as every other person you see on the screen right now. This show would not be possible without them. And if you want to join these wonderful people who make this entire program possible, simply go to patreon.com/theserfs and you can unlock uncensored and bonus episodes and, you know, help us exist.